So this time that we're in right now, after Yom Kippur, is called the time of great joy. This is the time that the temple was inaugurated. The first temple's altar was inaugurated, and therefore it's called time of joy. These 4 days from Yom Kippur till Sukkot, it's called time of joy. In general, the first half of the month of Tishrei, the second half of the month of Tishrei, is described in the verse Shmeli tachas hareshi, yemini tachab keni. His left hand is under my head, and his right hand embraces me. So it says that the left hand of Hashem, the time of judgment, is Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur, and this causes his right hand to embrace me. The happiness and joy of Sukkot and Simchas Torah is a time of the opposite, not instead of time of judgment, time of closeness and love and happiness. But these two time periods are connected to each other. It's through the time of Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur, through that kind of relationship, that model, that approach to Hashem, that brings the joy, brings the happiness of Simchas Torah and Sukkot. So we need to understand a little bit more about this continuum between Rosh Hashanah and Kippur and Sukkot. The Alter compares it to planting a seed. The seed is planted, but then it grows. You have the fruit on the at the end of the holiday. To understand this a little bit more, let's start with this. Let's start with looking at today, day after Yom Kippur. The previous Lubavitcher Rebbe once visited his father, Rebbe Rashab, and he said to his father after Yom Kippur, "What do we do now?" In other words, what's the service of Hashem meant to be now? Now we got this closeness with Hashem in the highest level. So what are we supposed to do now? So his father says, now we have to start doing Teshuvah. Now we have to start. Why start? Because when you feel close to Hashem, you feel Hashem's presence, then you realize how much more you need to do. It's only because you're close to Hashem, you feel Hashem's closeness, you realize how much more you could do. So Yom Kippur puts us face to face with Hashem, and face to face with our souls, face to face with the deepest part of the soul. Then you realize, whoa, I could do so much more. I need to do so much more. That's also the reason why in our prayers every day, we begin the prayers with a ladder. The Zohar compares prayers to a ladder. We're ascending higher and higher throughout the time of prayer. And when in our prayers do we reach the point where we're able to ask Hashem for forgiveness, only in Shemona Esrei, only in the highest point of our prayers do we ask for forgiveness. You'd think before you talk to someone and want to ask, especially when to ask something from someone, before you start asking for forgiveness, then have a conversation with them. But here, we first have a conversation, and not just a conversation, a very deep and romantic conversation, a davening, and we're ascending higher and higher. And then in the middle of Shemona Esrei, we say, Slachlan, forgive us. And after Shemona Esrei, again, forgive us. And the answer is, until we get to Shemona Esrei, we don't realize that there's something to ask for forgiveness for. There's nothing to ask for forgiveness for before we get to Shemona Esrei. We don't realize any issues we have. It's only when we get to Shemona Esrei and we get to the highest point, then we realize we're supposed to be better, supposed to be different. This is also hinted to in the verse, Kedoshim Tiyu, you shall be holy. That pasuk, you should be holy, the Ramban writes that pasuk changes the whole entire nature of Judaism. Without that verse, you could think that Judaism is about indulgence. There are rules, it could do, things are permissible, things you can't are not permissible, but ultimately you want to enjoy. It's about you enjoying, and there's just things which aren't good for you. But that verse really changes the whole nature of Torah, and Hashem tells us, in all your ways you should know me. There's nothing that I don't want to be connected to. There's nothing that I'm not involved in. And Hashem says, whatever a Jew does, Hashem says that should be done for the sake of Hashem. Previous Rebbe actually writes, as we were learning on Friday, that when we say next year in Jerusalem at the end of Yom Kippur, what we mean is that not only are we asking for Mashiach to come, we're asking this whole coming year should be a year of Jerusalem. This whole year should be a year where we feel Hashem's presence face to face with Hashem, like in Yerushalayim. Yerushalayim, the word Yerushalayim is made up of two words: Yireh Shalom, complete fear of Hashem. So our request and our decision after experiencing Yom Kippur is we want it all to be different. We want it all to be higher. We want everything we do to be the sake of Hashem.
We should go today, so we'll be there next year.
Huh?
We should go today, so we'll be there next year.
Oh, right. That's the previous service. We're not asking to start next year. We're asking Mashiach to come right now, and automatically we'll be there next year. But another explanation, he says, even before Mashiach comes, so we're not just asking Hashem for something, we're asking ourselves for something. We're deciding. Or it's also asking Hashem. We're saying, I want this year to be a year of Shalom. This whole new year should be a year of Ram Yisrael. That's what Kadesh Tiyu means, that you should be holy in everything that you're doing. Not just that you have things you could do, things you can't do, but even things you could do, as the Chassidim say, well, you're not allowed to have. Of course you can't have. And even when you can have, you don't need it. That's not the goal. The goal is it's for something. There's a purpose. It's for it's for the service of Hashem. Hashem wants us to bring holiness into our lives. That's the purpose of why Hashem created us with physical needs. Okay. But there's another explanation of Kadeshim Tiyu that the Orach Chaim HaKadosh writes. There's Kadeshim Tiyu is perpetual. It says, you shall be holy, and it's continuous. You should continuously strive to be holy. Ein la hefsek, there's no interruption. That means whatever level of holiness you reach, you can't stop there. You can't stop there anyways, by the way, just practically. Because life, as Chassidus says, is like a mountain. If you're not trying to climb to a higher place, you're going to fall. It's just the way things are. You can't stay still on a mountain. Life, the way Hashem positioned the world, is just impossible to stay in the same place. But even if it was possible, the Torah says you should be holy because I am. That means two things. First of all, it means when Hashem tells us to be holy, what is He asking us to do? He's asking us to be like Him. But it also means, as Orach Chaim says, there's no interruption to this. There's no place that stops. Whenever a person reaches one level of holiness, Hashem says, I want you to go more. I want you to go deeper. It's a perpetual commandment. Hashem is saying there's higher and higher levels of holiness. So this is what the Rebbe Rashab told the previous Rebbe after Yom Kippur. To start doing Shuvah, means that because you realize where you are and how much more you could do, so Hashem is asking you now go higher. And that's connected also these days being days of happiness, because Teshuvah is meant to be done with happiness. So Taka, days of Shuvah, but Shuvah with great joy and happiness and delight. There's another point that I wanted to discuss about Yom Kippur. It seems to be a bit of a contradiction in Chassidus. Chassidus talks about Yom Kippur being a divine flow in heaven, a divine flow l'mayla. Usually the words divine flow are followed in Chassidus where divine flow on earth, but Chassidus terms Yom Kippur as divine flow upstairs. What does that mean? Is it divine flow? Where is it going? Where is it stopping? Where is it? On the other hand, that's one thing that Chassidus says. What that means itself, you need to understand. And the second thing we need to understand is divine flow seems to be the opposite of what Yom Kippur is. Yom Kippur, on the contrary, we know Yom Kippur, we say le'ela u'le'ela. We say how Hashem is higher and higher than all blessings. We call Hashem the Holy King. And Arizal, Chassidus explains that on Yom Kippur, there's an elevation of the divine energy in creation. It goes to the highest place. It goes to it's withdrawn higher and higher. It's not about Hashem giving the divine flow downwards, it seems. The opposite. It's about Hashem retreating within Himself. Hashem bringing the energy of creation, Hamelech, Malchus, HaKadosh, the highest level of sanctity, La'ela Ula'ela, higher and higher than all blessings. That's what Yom Kippur seems to be about. Not about it flowing downwards, but about the world and the energy of creation ascending upwards to Hashem's very essence. So which one is it going down in heaven, whatever that means, or is it going up? Which one is it? So as usual, as characteristic of this, the question itself is the answer. Not just in Chassidus, but often you find you have a good question. The question itself is the answer. In order to answer this question, Rebbe Rashab says, let's talk about the man, the manner. The man, on the one hand, it says, the man, on a simple level, did not come down in the world on Shabbos. Man stayed in heaven, and there was on Shabbos, there was no man in this world. That's why on Friday we have two challahs, because it's double portion on Friday, because the man did not flow on Shabbos. On the other hand, the Zohar says, "Minei mizbarchim kuli yomim." All of the month throughout the week is blessed by the month of Shabbos. Whoa, there is no month on Shabbos. How is the month throughout the week blessed in the month on Shabbos when there's no month? What does that mean? To then answer this, let's talk about an analogy of a teacher and student. I wish I remember the details, but Rabbi Itzra Meir Gurari, in Gesund, he asked Rebbe something about Farbrengen, leading a Farbrengen with his students and with people in the community. And the question he had was like, people in the community are very very simple. And if Farbrengen is usually about going in a very deep, high level, by asking more of yourself, especially Rabbi Meir, who is the mentor of the yeshiva students, he certainly doesn't need to be told about not talking middle davening, let's say, right? Doesn't need to be told about why you can't talk middle davening. He doesn't talk middle davening anyways. On the other hand, the people coming to Farbrengen, they need to hear that davening is special, and they can't talk middle davening. So how do you Farbrengen with someone? How do you have a Farbrengen when you're in two different planes? The things you're asking of yourself aren't the same things you're asking of others. That was a question. So the answer that Rebbe gave him, if I remember correctly, was this. Probably will be here for Sukkot, we could ask him. The answer I gave him was like that you start talking about these deep concepts, then you bring it down to their level to give a practical application to them. In other words, it's not a contradiction. Let's say it this way. There's a reason why davening you can't talk, right? Why can't you talk middle davening? You can't talk middle davening because you know what davening is about. So talk about the level of davening that you experience, let's say, where you know what davening is, you know the Chassidus what davening is, and you and convey that. Talk about that. And therefore, we're not talking middle davening. So what they're going to hear is, they're going to hear practical words, don't talk middle davening. But it's coming from your appreciation of what davening is. Let's unpack that for a second. Rabbi Meir also had the option, it seems, just talk about the simple thing. Why did he even have the question? Why was he even asking Rebbe this question? Just talk about the simple. So if you bring another time with other people about deeper stuff, now you're speaking to them, so talk to them. The reason is because in order to impact someone, a farbrengen means you're giving them yourself. A farbrengen means that you're alive. Farbrengen means that you're communicating you. If you're communicating rules that aren't connected to who you are, then that's not a farbrengen. Farbrengen means that you're going very deep within yourself. And you're conveying yourself to people, to what you really care about, what's really within you. That's a farbrengen. That's a real farbrengen. In order for the words that you're saying to be impactful, to animate someone else, they have to first animate you. So if you're going to talk about simple rules which don't mean so much to you, because they're simple and they're obvious, then you're not going to be able to inspire people. If you go straight to the words, the rules, like often people do that. People like they have their own experience, and they say other people aren't able to relate to that experience, and so they're maybe disgusted. Imagine if you know what davening is about, people are talking about davening. Imagine the kind of disgust and the feh. The first reaction is feh. So feh is something. It's coming because you care, okay, but you're not really communicating. You're just saying feh, and the person's maybe just feeling like rejected and unappreciated and insulted. As human nature is that when someone feels that they're going to be criticized, the shutters of their brain immediately close. No one is allowed in right now. You're not making me feel safe. So what the Rebbe did though is the Rebbe said to him, I don't want you to bring down. I want you to bring up. I want this to be up to who you are. On the other hand, I want you to convey who you are to them in their language. So you have to bring this concept of not talking middle davening, bring this up to the deepest reason of what davening is. Go there Go to where what davening means to you because of what you and go try to go higher within that. Go higher within that. Try to challenge yourself. Try to really experience what davening is meant to be. Go all the way there. Brain and convey that. Talk to them. And that's why we don't talk about it. And that's another one. So on the one hand, you have the external message. On the other hand, it's coming from a very deep place. That's what's happening in Yom Kippur. Let's compare Yom Kippur for a second to Rosh Hashanah. Rosh Hashanah is when there is also a retreat, so to speak, within Hashem. Retreat. Hashem is, so to speak, a siluk, the language of Chassidus. The Chassidus says that there's a greater tzimtzum Rosh Hashanah, greater contraction, greater ascent within Hashem himself, so to speak, than the first tzimtzum. Always Chassidus talks about the very first tzimtzum Hashem made before creation, that in order to talk about creation, there first had to be a withdrawal of the light of Hashem, then we can talk about creation. But Chassidus said that the first tzimtzum is nothing compared to Rosh Hashanah. Rosh Hashanah, Hashem is analogous to someone who withdraws all interest in what he's doing. I'm not interested in any of this. I'm not interested in creation. Hashem, so to speak, removes his pleasure from creation, like a father hiding from his child. He wants his child to say, Chassidus compares Rosh Hashanah to someone who's sleeping or someone who's working when they're tired, and they're just not interested. They're just like they lost interest. So Hashem hides himself from us and said, I'm not interested. Why? Hashem wants us to go seek him out and say, Hashem, we want you. We want you to be close to us. We love you. We want you to be our king. And our request of Hashem, we want you to be our king, it brings out Hashem's pleasure in creation, causes Hashem to have a desire for creation. That's what happens with Rosh Hashanah. Yom Kippur, the pleasure for creation is already there. We've already brought that into the world on Rosh Hashanah. Rosh Hashanah is more about Hashem's pleasure in all of creation. Then there is the real why of creation. What's the real why of creation? The real why of creation is the Jewish people, Torah. On Yom Kippur, the highest point of Yom Kippur is Ne'ilah. Ne'ilah, it means the closing the doors. As we learned yesterday, doesn't mean that when the doors are closed and we're stuck outside. It means that the doors are closing and we're going to be stuck outside. Yom Kippur, Ne'ilah means doors are closed, but we're there with Hashem. Like the Kohen Gadol, going into the Holy of Holies, the Torah says, no man can be in the tent of meeting when the Kohen Gadol enters, and the Talmud explains, all man, even angels who their faces like the faces of men, the highest angels who have some kind of similarity to souls, even they cannot be there in the time of Ne'ilah, in the time of the Kohen Gadol enters the Holy of Holies, which on a personal level is by Ne'ilah. That's the highest point there. The angels can't be there. Why? They have nothing to do there. Nothing to do there because that's a time of Hashem, the Jewish people. There's nothing else that matters in that place. Nothing else it's a time of intimacy of Hashem, the Jewish people. So Hashem's desire for creation is something which is external. Hashem's pleasure in the Jewish people is the why. He wants a home with us. He loves us. He wants to have a home here with us. That's the whole why of creation. Let's go back to the month for a second before we bring it home. On Shabbos, what happens to the month? On Shabbos is a time when the world is elevated to a higher place, when the divine flow goes upwards. The divine energy in creation ascends. That's why there's no mun on Shabbos, because the divine energy ascends. So why does it rain on Shabbos? Why is there still physical? Why is there still sunlight? Why is there still air on Shabbos if divine energy ascends? So that's a bit of a bigger subject, but in short, the divine energy ascends within. The external energy is still there. The inner, the light in creation, the higher kinds of things, the inner dimension of creation ascends. The spirituality in creation ascends. The spirituality ascends in the language of Chassidus. On Shabbos, the world is going to the realm of thought. There is a realm of speech, where the world feels like it's a separate entity from creation. Just like when we talk, so our words. Someone wants to get the door. There's somebody by the door. Yeah, thank you, Rabbi. During the week, creation is compared to speech. What does speech mean? Speech means when you talk, your words exit you and become separated from you. On the other hand, when you think, your words are that you're thinking about are known only to you. No one else knows them. So too on Shabbos. The world on Shabbos is analogous to thought in the sense that there's no sense of separation on Shabbos. On Shabbos is, so to speak, that Hashem is alone. We see in the world throughout the week all kinds of forces and all kinds of things going on. And on Shabbos is an ascent that we feel all there is Him. On Shabbos is an elevation from speech to thought. So the world, regularly feels like a Rishus Rabim, a place of many forces. And on Shabbos is an ascent, so we feel it's Rishus HaYochid, it's a place only of Hashem. So since on Shabbos is an elevation to that higher realm, so external things can still go on. External things can still be there, because the ascent from speech to thought is only in the inner dimension of speech. The actual physical speech, whatever that means for Hashem, is still there. But the inner dimension of speech, the divine energy within creation, that ascends on Shabbos to the realm of thought. So things which are external, like rain, like sunlight, they continue to flow on Shabbos. But the manna bread, which is from a much higher, deeper place, which is connected more to a much loftier thing, that doesn't flow downwards on Shabbos. On the contrary, on Shabbos, there is, so to speak, the teacher, like an analogy I gave of Rabbi Meir, that's when the teacher goes within himself. But he's not going within himself because he wants to go away from the student. Rosh Hashanah is analogous to the teacher going away from the student because he's lost interest in the student. But on Yom Kippur is, is more about, and also on Shabbos, Yom Kippur and Shabbos is more about how there is a Hashem bringing creation, the divine energy creation, to His deepest level of pleasure. Hashem is answering the why of creation deep within Himself. It's not about the divine flow downwards to the student yet. It's not about the beginning of the. It's not about an analogy I gave. Don't talk during davening part. It's not about the actual flow downwards into creation, but it's more about how Hashem's why in creation. Think a lot of words. Let me try to break this down. On Shabbos, no man falls down to the earth. On the other hand, on Shabbos, Hashem brings the divine energy of the man, which is from a very deep godly place, to Himself. And that is what allows the man to flow throughout the week. Let's talk about a chassid traveling to the Rebbe. He's traveling to the Rebbe, and he's getting recharged. He's going away from his mundane, away from the normal, and going to a higher, holier place. But why is he going there? He's going there because Hashem wants him to be recharged, to do his mission in the world on a higher level. So he's going away, but why is going away? To bring down. So too on Yom Kippur and on Shabbos. On Shabbos is an elevation, so to speak. Hashem is bringing creation into Himself, into His delight in creation. Shabbos is called Day of Pleasure. On Shabbos, there's an Eibusher's pleasure in creation is shining. The why of creation for the Jewish people, that's shining on Shabbos. That's why on Shabbos, it's a day for the Jewish people. The Jewish people celebrate Shabbos. Hashem, yes, Rabbi.
Like someone going to see the Rebbe, and when you're going to see the Rebbe, you're going up. So when you leave the Rebbe, then you bring it down. Is that right?
Yeah, bring it down. So too on Shabbos, the energy of creation, which is ordinarily is in a state of speech, which is analogous. When we speak, our words get separate from us. We can't bring the words back, though sometimes we try. But speech represents separation. On Shabbos is an elevation to the realm of thought. Shabbos is an elevation to Hashem's pleasure. The same creation, but Hashem is, so to speak, looking at creation from His delight in creation. Hashem is elevating the energy in creation to His delight. He's bringing it to Himself. The why I love this world. What is it about? What's so good about it? Yom Kippur, Shabbos, it's Shabbos all Shabbosim. On Yom Kippur, Hashem elevates the energy of creation to Atik, Le'elu, Le'im Kol Brachasa, Melech HaKodesh, the highest of levels. That's why on Yom Kippur it's the Ilah, the Yisro Malka B'chodai, the Jewish people and Hashem are alone. It's Hashem's deepest moment with the Jewish people. And because of that deep moment, that's why there's a divine flow downwards on Sukkot Simchas Torah. That deep intimacy we have with Hashem, that Hashem is looking at creation from the perspective of how He brings it within Himself. He takes the energy in creation and brings it within Himself. That's the source of the divine flow downwards. So that's the meaning of the words Hamshachal L'mayla. It's a divine flow in heaven. That means Hashem is bringing creation to Himself and saying, "This is I love this creation." Why? Because of the Jewish people, because they matter to me. And that's the source, the actual flow in creation. Just like on Shabbos. Shabbos is the source for the divine flow of the month throughout the week. The mun is not like a rain or sunlight. The mun is a very deep thing. So on Shabbos, when Hashem lifts up creation to Himself, so the mun doesn't flow downwards, because on Shabbos the higher, deeper element of creation ascends on Shabbos. The mun doesn't flow downwards in the world on Shabbos. The mun, the source of the mun, Hashem, so to speak, brings to Himself. The why of creation is the focus on Shabbos. Bring the all creation to Himself. So things which are deeper don't flow on Shabbos, like the mun. On the other hand, why does there mun throughout the week? It comes from Shabbos. It comes from the delight of Hashem in creation that Hashem, so to speak, focuses on Shabbos. And this is the source of what the verse is telling us. His left hand is under my head, his right hand embraces me. That on this time of the left hand, of the, so to speak, the withdrawal, the elevation from creation that's happening on Yom Kippur, is all about the right hand embracing me. It's not like, oh, let's stop with the negative, let's start with the positive. It's all connected to each other. It's not negative. It's Hashem delighting creation, bringing creation, energy of creation to the highest of levels. And because there's such a deep pleasure in creation, therefore it's a manifest. And Hashem brings bracha to the world and simcha to the world. And it's manifest in the holiday of Sukkot, and ultimately the highest level on Simchas Torah. And Chaim, shtakapi freiliche geschmacki hante for us all. Chaim, bracha.
Very good. Very good. Right, you get dressed to get going.
What?
I said, let me get dressed to get going. Okay.
Get dressed and you're going. Yes, that's the opposite of Yom Kippur. Yom Kippur is about being above creation. Now it's time to get dressed and bring it down.
Yeah.